Hello and welcome to Game Vitamins. My name is Nick, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing a very frequently asked question from the comments, and that is how I track my inventory as well as my profitability, cost of goods sold, just keeping track of your numbers in general. And no, we're not going to go through how I set sort alphabetically and actually put cards into the boxes. No, we're going to actually take a look at my computer and discuss some of the different spreadsheets I've been using that I've put together for myself and also make them available to the whole community. I'm going to put a shared link down in the description where you can go and access this template and then download it, craft it to whatever best suits your situation. It's not really a one-size-fits-all, which is why I sort of stripped it down a little bit from what mine looks like, because it's already looking a little bit hectic. But anyway, we're going to go over all of that and let you guys get an idea of how it works, how everything's calculated, and how you can use it for your own setup. But before we get into that, if you're new here, this channel is all about growing a Magic the Gathering or TCG business, whatever you want to pull from it in terms of value. I've had people from Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon commenting as well, so you could probably get some value regardless of what you focus on. And for anybody that is returning, thank you very much as always. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Before we go down to the computer and dive into the spreadsheets, I just want to go over a little bit of my current process, and that will help you better understand why I have set up what I have. So currently, my main niche seems to be bringing in sealed product, such as Dominaria United. I ordered 36 draft boosters, if any of you guys saw that screaming deal on Monday. And here's some wilds of Eldraine too, just something to look at. But right now, my vertical, my niche, the thing that I'm doing right now to generate some money is opening up high EV boxes that I can find good deals on, sorting through them, and using the law of large numbers to hopefully average a bit higher. So with that comes a lot of tracking in terms of knowing what you've sold, how much you're actually profiting, and you don't want to just do it completely blind. You know, you go through a whole year, you look at cash out and cash in, and then maybe a year has gone by and you weren't even profitable. So how can we try to understand our profit a little bit better in the interim? It'll never be perfect. It's not an exact science, but there are ways to improve tracking your numbers. And my setup is opening these, keeping mythics, rares, valuable commons and uncommons, and lands, setting everything into their own little space, and then categorizing all of the sellable cards, the first ones that I listed there, and bringing those into my inventory. But when I go from sealed product to singles, I need to be able to track all of the bulk as well, or else I'm potentially forgetting about value or forgetting about some of the expenses I had. So we're going to look at how I've been calculating my cost of goods sold. I know I harp on this a lot, but I think it's just a really valuable thing that anyone can benefit from, is just understanding your numbers, understanding how to calculate profit as you go, and also just tracking everything. Because at the end of the day, the tax man's going to come for you, so you better make sure all of your ducks are in a row. Now, let's actually bring it down to the computer. That's what I'm doing right now, so that's what this is focused on. Since it's a lot of singles sales, I am focusing in on tracking every individual singles order, and also some of the sealed product orders that I've shipped out as well. But you'll see how I differentiate them and how I track all of it. So let's shrink myself down. I'll figure out which corner to throw myself in that makes the most sense. And you can sit back, relax, and look at a spreadsheet for a while. Actually, a couple spreadsheets. And then you'll understand them and be able to use them. So let's get right into it. Okay, here we are. We are diving into inventory first. Now, right off the bat, you're seeing a couple different categories. I wanted to keep this all separated out. Again, mine is a little bit messier in terms of notes and what the inventory looks like, but I wanted to keep it really basic, stripped down. And again, this is something that you can download, change, improve, and let us know what you do that you think is even better, or any pieces of advice in terms of updating it. So everyone knows that, well, anyone who's been watching knows that I started off by buying bulk inventory. I went out and bought 20,000 cards. Now, things sort of shifted pretty quickly into this avenue in terms of profit and like time put in. So I wanted to include it because people will come across maybe collections or good deals on big bulk lots, as I did, and want to, track all of that. So first things first, we have our bulk card inventory. I have it calculated out. Oh, one note is that any of the blue text are equations. Any of the black text can be changed and it won't affect anything. So throw in $200. You put in the amount of cards. You know what your price per unit is on that. Now, the reason I have this is because say you wanted to insert another row and you bought a collection number 2 and you spent $100 on, I don't know, let's say 5,000 cards. What you can do is drag down the circle in the bottom right and it'll duplicate all of your equations. But what I will demonstrate in the next section with the open boxed inventory is you're able to add your total quantity of cards together as well as the total amount you paid and get your averaged out price per unit. And this can be valuable when we go over to the master order sheet, but I'm going to flip back before that looks too enticing and let you understand this at a deeper level by going down to our open box inventory. Now, this is how I actually track all of my inventory currently. I know that I open boxes and whatever I scan gets put into a specific box that I know has been scanned and uploaded to TCGPlayer. But that is neither here nor there because we are talking just about general tracking. So when you buy inventory, say I go out and buy 4 boxes, is this 4? No, it's 3 boxes of Wilds of Eldraine. And I want to go in and add that to my sealed inventory. I'll put that right in and put in the date that I got it, or maybe the date that I added to that position, and then the amount that I spent. So let's say I'll keep it easy. Let's say 300, we bought 3 boxes, and it'll just calculate out that we spent $100 per box. Off to the right, you might have seen that the total value, or the sum of these columns, is going to be the whole sealed inventory value. What I'll do is add notes to different columns as I acquire more inventory. You could just kind of keep going down and keep adding line items, but say you bought some for 300 and then you bought some for 250. So you add those two together, you now have say 6 boxes and it averages out your cost of unit to $91.67. Now, this is important just to understand where you're at relative to market value, the price you acquired everything at. And also, if you're looking for, opening it to get a certain EV, you can say, okay, well, if I have all of this in my sealed inventory somewhere else, and I want to go pick it up, bring it over, and focus on opening that, I have a good low cost basis, and this is the one I want to focus on right now. So this is how I track and add to sealed inventory in order to just get a general idea of where I stand. As you can see, boom, there's Karlov Manor. Last video, have almost like 50 boxes of it, but we have a mix of opened and closed boxes. So that brings me to the opened box inventory, right up above. So whenever I open a box, I do all of this at the same time because if you just take the extra couple minutes to update everything at once, your life will be so much easier. Don't put it off because you will forget, and then there was no point in keeping the system in the first place. So let's say with Wilds of Eldraine, I went out, actually, since I already have these numbers plugged in, let's stick with Karlov. say I went out and I was like, okay, I'm going to go bring in 5 boxes of Karlov Manor. Now, in that case, I need to transfer that from sealed to open box inventory. Theoretically here, let's just say I have already transferred it. What I would do is say my cost is 110 and I take out 5 boxes. I would drop the amount of boxes I have. So I would take 2,200 and I would subtract out the 550. And there we go. We're still at 110. You can change these around. This is why I said this is not one size fits all. Some of mine, I know my cost that I bought everything at, but not necessarily the total values. So I'll switch equations around. So you can mess around with this. This is not perfect by any means. But then I will go up to Karlov Manor singles. And I know that within a play box is 504 cards. So if we take the existing 9,000 cards and we add the quantity of 504 times 5, we're up to almost 12,000 cards of Karlov Manor. And then we take the value of those and add that into our overall value of open box inventory. So what you're seeing here is it's calculating out my cost per card regardless of the value of these cards. And the reason I do this is because as you open different sets, as you can see down here on the computer, I will have different amounts of different sets at different values. So you might have something like Modern Horizons 3, where your cost per card is north of 40 cents. You can't even get the boxes for $200 anymore. So let's even say this was 230. You can see that the cost per card updated, the overall cost updated, and that will adjust your average costs of good. Now, this becomes important when we go over to the master order sheet, but just stick with me here. I know that looking at spreadsheets can get kind of boring, but again, if you can track this stuff, you're on a path to success. You just need to be able to watch your numbers and know where you're headed and what you have going on. So that is sort of the overview as to how I track my inventory. It's really quite simple. Again, if I go out and I buy 3 Commander Master collector boxes, I will put in there Commander Master. I will say that these are collectors. And then I will go over, say I have 3, I spent $500, and I just drag this down. I think sometimes it's easier, initial purchases, it's easier to put in your cost per unit, but then once you add to it, it's a lot easier it's nicer to get your cost per box with my example from Wilds of Eldraine. So again, it's up to you, change it how you see fit. But then I can just see the tally and total value of all of my sealed inventory at a very quick glance. Same thing with the singles. This is everything that's opened and not necessarily what I have listed and what I have sitting off to the side in bulk for future plans. And the reason for that is because anything that is listed and sells automatically gets taken out of my TCGPlayer inventory. I am able to update it that way, and through TCGPlayer, through the pricing upload lists, it's actually more important in my mind to make sure you just have your cards separated so you don't confuse your inventories. But it's important to know what you put in overall, because at the end of the day, I have this many cards tucked away somewhere, and this is truly what I paid for each of those cards. So now, keeping this 23-cent average cost of goods sold in mind, let's move on to my master order sheet. People say this takes too much time to track every single transaction, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't. I'm going to show you why it doesn't. So right here, you can see a lot of this stuff doesn't matter, right? You have the name and the order, but what I'm showing is if you select all of your orders in TCGPlayer and hit export shipping, it will give you all of this data. So all of the data over to the item count within that order, the value of the product, and the shipping fee. And with those 3 simple numbers, you can create all of these equations to calculate exactly where you stand on every single order. Now, the reason that I keep all of the rest of the info there is just in case I ever need to go back and reference an order, change something. For example, say an order gets returned and then I want to ship it out with tracking. I can quickly go in, paste in an order number, adjust that, and boom, done. It's easy. So most of this doesn't matter. We are going to go over all the way to these columns where it pastes in your item count, the value, and how much you charge for shipping. And with these numbers, we can understand our profit or loss on every single transaction. Let me plug in a few other numbers for you. If we look here, well, actually, let's take a look at the numbers first so you get an idea of what's going on. Now, the total price is the amount that the customer paid. This is just your value of product added with your shipping fee. Vendor fees, processing fees, and your cost of goods sold are calculated based off of the order. So we have our total price. Vendor fees are 10.25% on the overall order. Processing fees are 2.5% plus a 30-cent transaction fee on every single order. And those are, again, calculated off of the total price. Now, all of these reference each other. If you mess around with them, it might mess up the equations, or you can play around with it and tweak it to your preference. Cost of goods sold is pulling in the number we discussed in inventory. So let's say it's 23 cents. I can go over to the fixed values and change this to 23 cents. And right there, based off of 3 items, my cost of goods sold has already been updated. My shipping cost is fixed to whatever I enter over here. And this actually gets kind of fancy. It's a way for me to track if I sell any sealed inventory. I'm able to look and see, oh, okay, well, that must be a sealed product. I'll show you that in a second. And then it takes everything out of this. So, you take your total price, take out the vendor fees, processing fees, cost of goods sold, shipping cost, and you walk away with $7.93. I even put over here the fee percentage because this does fluctuate depending on how large the order is. And I wanted just everyone to get an idea of what it is that they're paying. And when you average it out, it can give you a better idea of evaluating EVs because you can say, okay, well, my average fee percentage is 20% through TCGPlayer, which that's what mine is because I'm not on direct, which actually gives you more room on certain products. So, okay, we're really getting into it here. So I really hope you're sticking around. I hope that you're finding some value in this. Now, let's add a couple other situations here. So all of this, all of the blue text, that is all equations. So by highlighting those equations and dragging the bottom corner down, you can apply it to every single row. So when you paste in all of the information from shipping, it will auto apply that to those orders. So again, really all it's using are these 3 numbers, your item count, value, and shipping. So let's say we got an order for 6 items. It was a really cheap order, $3. We charge them $1.27, and then we scroll over. You can see it's already calculated our cost of goods sold, our shipping costs, and there's our profit. Now, I've mentioned this in other videos. People might not like the way that I calculate my cost of goods, but some of these will be losers. Others will look great. Let's say there's one item. It was a $60 chase card. Say I just sold a ancient copper dragon. It was like $60. No, maybe it was like 70. So let's say $70. In this case, the shipping fee will show $127. But you'll notice over to the right, look at that. It put in 5. Okay, why did it do that? Well, if we look at the equation, what it's saying is that if the value of the product, Q4 over here, is less than $35, which is my preferred shipping threshold, sometimes I'll do it less than that, but that's case by case. Doesn't matter. If it's less than $35, it applies the envelope cost. So 91 cents over on your fixed values. And Otherwise, it applies $5. So when I'm going through the orders, let's say you have a couple others here. 8 cards, $15, $1.27. Now these will all be there. Let's just say all of these except the last one are $1.27 because I'm going to use sealed product for the final example. We do $22, 3 items. We do one big annoying order that's 20 cards and $5. We do one that's 30 cards and $7. And then we'll leave that last one open. So we go over to the right and you can see it's auto applied the shipping costs. And again, at a quick glance, I can see that's $5. You can also do conditional formatting and make it so if it's greater than $1, it highlights it green. So then it's really easy to see. I was going to do that. Maybe I should. That's a good edit. I'll do that. You can see that the fee amounts are different. It adjusts. You can see that some of these are losing orders. The big orders you tend to lose on because your cost of goods sold is actually higher than the average price that you're selling the cards at. This is why it is good to have a certain base price, typically pretty close to your cost of goods sold. That's why mine's like 19 cents. So anyway, the reason I have this set there is because I know that it's probably going to be about $5 to ship those orders. Now, again, this is not a perfect science. I can ship a padded envelope with tracking and insurance for about $4.50. Supplies, probably not even 50 cents. But I figure if you can leave a bit of a buffer, that's good. And also, it just brings your attention to that order. It allows you to just, allocate it correctly. So if this was 91 cents, it would obviously skew your profit pretty drastically, especially if, for example, you sell, say, a collector's box. It's one item, it's $300. You just bought a foundations box, and the shipping fee, let's say within your TCGPlayer, is $4.99. Again, these numbers will auto-populate based off of your export from TCGPlayer. You will not need to manually enter these. So you paste it in, and it will auto-calculate. Now, by the time you put insurance on that and it weighs more, this is going to probably be like $10. But again, looking at all these orders, if I had just pasted all of these in and it popped up, it would take me less than a minute to say, okay, single card, $5. Okay, collector's box, because I can reference the shipping fee. That's going to be like $10. Boom, done. That's it. So it's really not that hard, guys. And by doing this, you even get a running tally of your profit and loss. Now, again, this doesn't account for a lot of bulk cards, but once you figure out other avenues to sell those off, you're going to be able to incorporate it into this. Perhaps you have eBay orders, and this spreadsheet will develop over time. Let's say you're selling off lots of 500 cards for, let's say $20, and you're charging $4.99 for shipping. These are random numbers. Don't yell at me about these. I don't know if this is accurate or not. For our sake of doing this, let's just say that you have similar vendor fees. Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? People would say, well, what the heck? I lost $100. You got to remember that your cost of goods sold is going to be the same for a $60 card as it is for a penny card. And I just caught something. The only other thing that you need to update when you're selling... Okay, this must be a long video. Camera just stopped recording. So I'll try not to go on for too much longer. The only thing that you need to update for sealed product is your cost of goods sold. So say it was $200 for a foundations box and you sold it for $3. Your profit's $55. It would not have been $255. You did not spend 23 cents for a foundations collector box. Okay, so this gives you a better idea of how it will work at scale. Now, at a quick glance, this looks bad, right? Because you see a negative 100 next to some of these smaller profits. This has not even been something I have contemplated yet. You got to realize that these will be lots to get rid of bulk. And if you do your numbers, if you calculate correctly, and you can cover all of the costs of your boxes and more through getting to the right expected value through the law of large numbers, buying a ton of product. Maybe this isn't even your vertical. If you're just selling a lot of high value singles and then you have these occasional hits on your low value cards, it all comes out in the wash. Because on my end, most of these numbers are always going to be in the green in terms of selling singles. Selling bulk will be in the red, but you know where you stand with all of your inventory, and your books will reflect that anyway. So it's just better to be real with yourself and understand where all of the money is being allocated. So let's just delete this one. We don't need to delete the equations for now. Copied over the shipping cost too. That probably would have been $10. So whatever. This is how I do it. This feels hands-on, but literally all you need to do, this all comes preset in TCGPlayer. Let me just delete it for the sake of deleting it and show you how quick this is one more time, right? So let's have our equations reset. When you go in to paste this, you hit paste. Okay, I'm an idiot. I just didn't hit the values. Okay, so you hit paste and then boom, there it is. It's already calculated. And then you just look at it. Okay, there's one sealed product. This is $200, and you update your shipping, and that's it. That's all it takes. Let's say I have the same values again. I paste it in. Okay. Oh geez. Okay. Well, all I gotta do is drag over, drag down. It's done. This doesn't take that long. Once you have something set up like this and you understand how it works, it's really quite easy. So there you have it. That is how I track every single order in the matter of minutes. I just do it right after I pack and ship them. It takes me no time at all. So that's great. This is how I do everything. It's how I track my inventory. It's how I track my orders. Now, little bonus. People asked for this. If it doesn't interest you, you don't have to stick around. This video is getting long. So back to my full face for a second. We are going to be looking at box analysis and singles analysis. And this is also not one size fits all. None of this is one size fits all. Build your spreadsheets to what best suits your operation. That's what you need to do. But I hope this at least gives you some guidance. Now, what I wanted to do with the box analysis, okay, I'm going to shrink myself back down again. Sorry, you've been staring at spreadsheets this whole time, is have you be able to take a quick glance at profitability. I referenced this in one of my early videos. People wanted to see it, wanted to be able to use it. Again, blue, equations, black, you can change. Say you got Modern Horizons 3 boxes. You bought them at the screaming deal that I got them at, $165. And then, which is calculated over here, by the way. Say you buy 13 boxes. You spend $2,100. Just let me type it in so you get an idea. Let's say you actually spend $2,000 and you get 10 boxes. There's your price per unit of $200. All of this updates for you. I go out and I say, I'm going to sell them at $234.99. I'm going to charge $5 shipping. And then total sale price, the cost of goods already pulled in. Fees are already calculated. Shipping, that's what I was able to ship a single sealed box at before. So that's why it's in there from before. And boom, gross profit 61 cents. If you sell 6 of them, it calculates out your total profit and your total profit margin. Clearly, buying these at $200 a box and selling them at $235, while it looks like it's a $35 profit, after all your fees and your shipping, it's not. So this is why people don't like selling sealed on TCGPlayer. It's unless you get a great deal, it's like not that profitable. So anyway, let's say you got it. Let's say you got it at the price that I did, $21.50, 13 boxes. Okay, well that's more interesting, right? After all your fees, your profit's $35 a box. 6 sold, you make $210, and that's a 21% return. So that's good. So that's the box analysis. Again, if you need to duplicate this, guys, just highlight all the rows, drag it down, make this Karlov because everyone loves the Karlov craze. You're selling them for $110 a box. You somehow got your hands on them. You can also manually override the cost of goods sold if you prefer to do that. But let's just bring this down. Let's say you got a crazy deal. You spent $3,000 and you got 50 boxes. Someone commented that they got them for like $60 a piece. That's crazy. Goodbye. There it is, $31 gross profit. You sell 6. There's your margin, 52%. That's great. Good for you. Okay, so that is the box analysis. And then lastly, the singles analysis. This is a little weirder. The reason being is, say you have the sale price of your box. You are going to sell all of the cart. This equation doesn't really matter. This was just because I was looking at market value and I upped my prices over market by 5%. So that was at the time that I originally put this together. So let's just say you can override it even though there's an equation here. But let's say the market value is just $250 and I'm going to mark it up 5% on every single card. Let's say there's 100 cards that get me that value. And the shipping total, say you're doing $1.27. Let's say you're doing what I do. I've changed this. I'm still playing around with it. Say you do $1.49. This is going to be your total sale price. Your cost of goods is something you could pull in. Sorry if you see those flashing up. From your box analysis, you could bring that in if you want, or just remember it. And then there's your fees, processing, all your shipping costs, your gross profit, the amount of boxes that you might have opened and sold, and your total profit. Now, again, one last time. Highlight, drag down a couple times, change this Karlov. Let's say we're looking for $180 EV, Wilds, $170 EV. I buy this for $100. I buy this for $90. And then there we go. It's calculating out gross profit. It's calculating out your margins, the amount that you're opening and selling. If you say only sell 60 or say only 60 cards, which is what I'm finding on average in Karlov gets you to that value, say 60 to 70. Let's just say 70. It updates everything for you. So there we have it. I'm bringing myself down. I'm going to be small again. This is a long video. I wanted to answer this question. For anyone who stuck around, I hope this was a wealth of information for you. I actually think that this is like pretty good information. I think people should be doing this. I think people should watch their numbers very closely. I also think people underestimate how complicated things get at tax season. I run other businesses. Recreating a year worth of transactions and receipts and the history of all of that, especially if you're doing this at any level of scale, is next to impossible. So try to keep up with it. If you want to do this legitimately and you want to take it seriously, you're going to need to do this. Again, I get a box of Wilds, I open it up, I do my sort, I scan it, put it in, and then I put it right into my inventory, right on that spreadsheet. And then as stuff sells, I just export, copy, paste. I know where I stand in terms of total singles sold, roughly for the whole year, just by clicking on the column. It'll highlight all of it. You don't even really need to worry. I mean, don't take my professional taxes. I'm not an accountant, but those single boxes that might sell in there, even if you just want to highlight them or delete the count out of there, just so you can quickly see how many singles you sold. That times your cost of goods sold, deduct that against your inventory because inventory is not an expense, and then add it to your expenses in your books. I'm getting probably too in-depth here, but it's not that hard, and I hope this sheds some light on that. Again, this is all going to be accessible right in the description below. Just download it, play around with it, learn how the spreadsheet works, and build your own. Change it up. Make it work for you. These are things you have to do. my stuff. I have more and it's even more complicated, but I felt that this encapsulates everything that I do for the most part. And again, we're just getting started. So there is probably going to be a lot of changes and probably updates to this in the future. I hope that for whoever is doing this, that helped. And again, thank you for sticking around. I know this was a long video. We have a lot more to go over. I want to talk a little bit about another comment, buying and flipping stuff, or just reselling products, opening products, selling it, versus investing, buying this, sitting on it, holding it. I want to compare the returns and explain how the numbers work. So we'll be shedding light on that in a different video, because that is another full topic. But I appreciate you all so much for watching. It's been awesome to see the engagement and the construction of a community around this. It's really, really cool. I appreciate every single one of you. Reach out to me if you have any questions, leave a comment. I do my best to reply to every single comment as much as I can right now, because I like to type a lot. If you've ever clicked into the comments, you'll probably see that. So let me know what you want to see next. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any better methods than this, and we can all improve from it. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you in the next video. Have a great day.